Okay, now the second card that came out was number 32, Pacha Carmeo. I'm not sure if I've said that correct because obviously, yeah, they're a bit hard to say, some of these. And this card, I love this card and the message of it. So this card is all about nourishment of the soul. So I will give you, like, obviously the information from the guidebook, of course, but the particular focus of the color of this card is obviously like green. There is a lot of green going on there, and to me green is all about like our heart chakra, like connecting to our soul, like what does our body need. And this comes into a lot of different levels, you know, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's all about nourishment, but also we then have the side of it being nourishment, i.e. like the foods or vitamins, that kind of side of nourishment too, which it does speak about a lot with this card. Now, you are granted the gifts of fertility, creativity, and earthly abundance to support all needs, for nourishing body, mind, and soul, and to live your life fully and be capable of manifesting your divine purpose. So, before I continue a bit with this, if anyone isn't sure on what their divine purpose is, meditation is a great way to silence that loud like voice in our minds sometimes, so our inner voice can connect with us and help guide us to our soul purpose and our divine purpose, and also naturally where you're drawn to, what things are you naturally drawn to do. Now give yourself permission to be nourished. I mean, I think so many people struggle with that. You know, a lot of us are all too quick to help everyone else. You know, if it whether it be your kids, your partner, your friends, your family, we often rush to serve and help others, but we actually then put ourselves last. Now this includes nourishing your body and also providing your heart, your mind, your soul with what they are hungry for, meaning, you know, sweetness, divine love, permission to be authentic. When you feed yourself, that which truly nourishes you wisely and generously, you shall become one who can also feed the world for that which it truly hungers. So, you can explore and experiment with nutritional wisdom which suits your body at this time. Understand that it may change over time. So, what's to say, like, let's give an example. Let's say your body is craving something now. Let's say your body is craving to eat meat, but you don't usually. Okay, that's obviously your body is needing something. So, honor that. You know, same way if you're been drawn to look at certain vitamins or certain superfoods, there's obviously a reason, like something inside you is obviously needing that, but remembering that of course it can change over times. Now, and that the change, yeah, that is also important. At different times in your life it will change. Remember that caring for the needs of your body is more important and spiritually mature than trying to force your body to meet the expectations of a belief system outside of yourself. Now that message is really powerful. Okay, that your body is more important than forcing what a belief system outside of yourself expects. So again, I always say this to people, is like, don't copy, don't follow the crowd, don't do just what everyone else is doing because it's advertised that way. You know, get in touch with yourself and find out what is for your highest good. Don't starve yourself of what you need on any level of your being, including peace, solitude, love, time spent in spiritual communion, artistic expression, and nutrition. Answers are coming for your questions about all forms of nourishment, including nutrition, so do not give up when you are close to finding your way. If you've been struggling with your needs being met on some level, a blessing is given to help you into more nourishing and abundant situations in all areas of your life. Now, a little bit more on the spiritual guidance of this particular card. So many human beings around the world suffer from undernourishment on physical, emotional, and psychological levels. Being fed more of what you don't need cannot satisfy hunger. Remember that. The cells and the soul cry out for what will truly stave off starvation. The quest for the profound, vitalizing, and satisfying experience of genuine spiritual presence is part of this. Pachacamac is known as the father of the world in the Peruvian Ichma culture, which preceded the Inca tradition. He is the provider of the gift of agriculture. Part of his mystic myth, part of his I'm not even going to attempt to say that word, sorry guys, because sometimes they do get me a bit tongue-tied. So part of his story is that in creating the first man and woman, he forgot to create food for them also. When the man died, the woman cursed him, accusing him of neglect. In response, the god made her fertile. At a symbolic level, this story tells the need for sacred rage towards neglect and the creative resourcefulness that we can generate only when we get angry enough to demand healing change. Interpret that how you will. Food is a matter of spiritual importance. Without proper nourishment, which heals the body, illuminates and informs the mind, and fortifies the soul, we undermine a healthy relationship between the spirit, the mind, and the body. If the body is out of balance and the mind filled with fear, then the attempts of the spirit to move your life into the correct direction will be met with resistance, anger, and defiance. Denying the needs of the body out of a misplaced sense of spiritual consciousness is not going to further our spiritual cause on this planet. Your sacred companions for your spirit this lifetime, your body, mind, and soul, cannot fulfill their part of your divine destiny if they are not properly nurtured. And I think that that's a message for all of us, because I know, especially when doing spiritual work or going to connect with the divine, I would love to be able to do it more. But because, say for instance, like I may have difficulties in other areas of my life, people don't realize that when you do spiritual work, it is very tiring. Like, you have to be in a good headspace, you have to be mentally, physically, emotionally strong at that point. You have to be nourished, you know what I mean? You have to have eaten well, because it's no different from going to the gym and doing a 60-90 minute hardcore workout. When you're connecting with the divine and spirit, again, that takes a lot from you, so you have to make sure that you're nourishing yourself and your health is on point also. So just to kind of explain that as well to people, but in all aspects, not just spiritual work, but for you to function in the best way possible, you know, it takes a lot from us, so we have to make sure all areas of our life are balanced and taken care of. Now, this can require the unlearning of the social pressures to dominate the body and mind, and practicing guidance and responsiveness that has at its heart discipline balanced with a loving relationship. Step by step, with moderation rather than fantasism, and by experimenting with what suits you rather than what suits another, are ways to work with nourishment wisely. So again, yeah, just because you might see someone else doing, you know, this diet plan or this fitness regime, this type of meditating, you know, what works for them isn't necessarily going to work for you. So it's about having the inner courage, strength, and confidence to find what is best suited for you, because we're all different. This may include changing our habits of food consumption to ethical, organic, local, or sustainable produce as much as we can. Now, that's so important this year and moving forward in the world, to be more self-sufficient and self-sustainable. The less we have to rely on the corporations, shall we say, the better. It may be about willingness to redefine convenience that include that which contributes to health rather than which only saves time. It may also include noticing that we consume in the form of entertainment and information, and figuring out if it is really helping or hindering our spiritual growth. True spirituality is joyful and playful. It's not boring or dull, and it's certainly not about no longer having any fun. What you will find as your spirit grows more present in your body and mind is that your sense of what you're used to be fun, may not be so anymore. And I can 100% vouch for that, because how I used to be and what I used to find fun and entertainment in no longer appeals to me. You may need something that brings more joy into your heart and your world. Finding what works for you can only happen as you begin to listen to your body, to your mind, and your soul. Listening as if you were spirit, you were a caring, wise parent. Studies have shown that cows will naturally gravitate to the healthiest and most nutritionally rich grasses. Nature knows how to nourish and heal itself. Our bodies can guide us towards what they need for healing, as can our soul. We all have the answers within us, okay? It is just about tapping in and going within to get those answers. As we recondition ourselves to listen rather than demand, we tap into the healing guidance of the divine feminine dwelling within us. What you derive pleasure from consuming at a physical, emotional, and psychological level will shift as your relationship to yourself changes. Rather than it being an act of will to be healthy, you will move towards what brings you authentic fulfillment. It will begin to feel like an act of pleasure. Then you will be turning nourishment into a sacred act of honoring the gift of your body, mind, and soul. So I do feel like the messages with this card are so important. So again, because they're quite deep messages, feel free to replay the video a few times just so they can sink in. But even if you've listened and you feel like it was kind of hard to take in a lot of the information, remember it still will have gone into your subconscious, so the message will still be planted within.